Welcome back, YouTube viewers, to the 2008 Cleveland Browns Bash, and I'm your host, AJ, here with the Week 8 edition of the show. Obviously, it was a disappointing week last week, again, for us Browns fans. Getting right into the game in Washington, we were just not effective on third down, 4 for 16, total net yards, 236. On defense, I've praised our defense this season. I've said it time and time again, and obviously, you look at the score, our defense looked pretty good, and they played pretty well. However, we allowed 193 rushing yards with a 5.4 yards per carry average. That needs to be fixed. That is definitely an issue defensively, especially coming up against Jaguars with Maurice Jones-Drew. He will tear us a new one if we play like that against Jacksonville as far as the run defense is concerned. Really, we just had one of those games. Washington did too, but yet they beat us. I mean, 14-11, it was not the most enjoyable game to watch, especially with the third downs. I mean, Washington was 3 for 11 on third down. At the end, we got the fumble, scored, got the 2-point conversion, had a chance at the end to tie it, got overtime. It just was not our day. Getting ready for the field goal, there was just this feeling of we're not supposed to even have a chance to win this game. And, I mean, I hate to say that, but I just did not feel like it was our day. So, even though at the end it was miraculous that we got into that position to have a chance, but still, it was exciting, but at the same time I didn't get my hopes up. So the Browns, we are now 2-4. On a bright note, I did pick Washington to win by 6. They only won by 3, so the Browns covered the spread. They are now 4-2 this season when going against my spread. And I believe I'm 4-2 straight up. But unfortunately, my picks and the Browns covering the spread that I set don't translate into actual wins. So 2-4 is what we're going to have to settle for. I would call this week a must-win game. Let me talk about my keys first. We're in Jacksonville, as you know. A pretty huge game. Like I said, my first key is to slow down the Jags. And what I mean by that is in the last 4 contests the Jaguars have played, they're 3-1. They also, within that little run, they've beaten the Colts and the Broncos. And those 2 teams, along with Tennessee, Pittsburgh, and Buffalo, have provided the Jaguars with one of the toughest schedules in the NFL up to this point. Even then, Jacksonville's 3-3, so that's not too bad when you look at who they've played. And as bad as we've played this season, the Jaguars should handle us pretty easily. What we have to do is play like the team that razzled and dazzled against the New York Giants 2 weeks ago. If we can get back to that, we're going to have a shot. And we did play Washington close. I said to play Washington close. I think we can play Jacksonville close, but I'm talking about a shot to win. We need to get back to that team that we played as against the Giants. Our goal should be to play lockdown run defense, as I said. We got to stop Maurice Jones-Drew. We got to stop the run against Jacksonville. If we don't do that, we're not going to win the game. And we also have to try to score more than 11 points. That leads to my next key. Figure out how to score more than 11 points. That's obvious sarcasm. I realize we scored 35 points against the New York Giants, but our offense this season is averaging 255.5 yards per game of offense, which is 30th in the NFL. 30th this season. We look to be stuck with Derek Anderson all season at quarterback, and I realized last week I praised him, and it was obviously premature. What I've come to accept is that his good games are the flukes, not the other way around. It's a shame to say that, but this season his completion percentage is 49.2%. He's not yet missed a start, despite that, and he probably won't miss a start this season. We do play the league's 24th ranked defense in Jacksonville. I don't know if that'll make a difference. we are missing our tight end, Kellen Winslow, as you guys know, the suspension. That's been a big story in the news this week. And our backup tight end, Steve Hyden, who had obviously the great game against New York, he has a pectoral injury, but he is probable, so he probably will play. Now, here's the deal. Does it matter who plays at tight end when Derek Anderson is going to be the one throwing? All of this comes down to one thing, and that is, will Derek Anderson get back on that track that he was on when he played a great game against the Giants, or is he going to play incomplete, thrown over and behind his receivers? You know what I mean? It's all going to come back to Derek Anderson. If he does not step up and make the plays, we're going nowhere fast. And my third and final key is to convert third downs. Against the Redskins, as I said, we converted 4 out of our 16 third downs. This week, we must not only convert our third downs, but put ourselves in position to do so. Against the Giants, we had a lot of 3rd and 2s, 3rd and 3s. That obviously helps your third down percentage. Against the Giants, we went 9 for 13 on third downs. That's a big deal. It keeps the drive alive. We score more points, the more first downs you get. I mean, not exactly relative, but in the long haul. And it gives the defense an extra rest. So that's just common sense. Against the Redskins, we did not convert third downs. We need to do that this week. Some notes and numbers. The Browns trail the all-time series against Jaguars 2-8, which is obviously not too great, but it hasn't spanned a lot of history since 1995, I believe. We played our first game against the Jaguars. But the Browns' last trip to Jacksonville was a very memorable one. I bet you guys probably remember the 50-yard Hail Mary, Tim Couch to Quincy Morgan. That was great retribution a season after the beer bottle incident in Cleveland. It was a very good feeling and a game I will never forget as a Browns fan. So that was the last time we were in Jacksonville, was that Hail Mary. And also, here's another very interesting stat. I did not have anything else, so I completely pulled this one out. Cleveland is 5-2-1 all-time on October 26th. So, we're 5-2-1 all-time on October 26th, which will be the date when we play the Jaguars. I know. It's just a completely random stat. My pick, Jacksonville by 10. To me, this is an easy pick. I hate to pick against the Browns again this season, but I just don't see us pulling it out. Should we lose, I truly believe, well, logically, we will be eliminated from the playoffs. Not mathematically, but this is a must-win game. Despite that it's a must-win game, I just have a feeling Romeo Crennel is going to gather the crew in the locker room and in a monotone voice talk about how we can still go 12-4 if we win out and kill any sense of urgency that is in the team by doing so. Like I said, I don't see us pulling it out. I wish I did see us pulling it out, but I don't, and that is that. I set a pretty generous spread for the Browns, 10 points. We should be able to cover. I don't know if we'll win. I hope we do. If we do, we'll be right there with a shot, with a huge game against the Baltimore Ravens coming back home for Week 9. If we come back home in Week 9 with a 3-4 record and can manage to beat the Ravens, we'll be right back in the divisional race. Obviously, we'll need some help, but we'll be there. So let's just take it one at a time. It's a shame we couldn't get it done against the Redskins. I mean, it was a close game, but here we go in Jacksonville. We'll see what we can do. I will see you guys next week with a recap of this game against the Jaguars and a preview of our game 2 of the season against the Baltimore Ravens. I'm AJ, and this is the 2008 Cleveland Browns Bash. I'll catch you guys next week.